topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Ohio, Michigan. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 16 years we have brought you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Today, this morning's show is a special show, and I'm going to just share some things with you. We really monitor the numbers that come through YouTube, though we're on about 70 different platforms. And we are getting more email than ever before. And I also see that by the YouTube numbers, people wanting to retire, wanting to sell their business. And I got to tell you, we got your emails and people asking us if we could do a business broker show. We found one of the top companies in the Michigan and Ohio area. It's called Great Lakes Business Advisors. And I've seen these numbers jump up. I am so glad that we found Brad Ruth. This is going to be an amazing show because it looks like there's a lot of people that want to retire, who've tired of the hustle and bustle and just want to move on in their life. And this is the perfect show. You are going to learn so much about buying and selling of a business. Good morning, Brad Ruth.
Good morning, Steve. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, we can hear you fine. I got to tell you, I don't know what it is in the last 2 or 3 months. We're getting more emails of people saying they're now thinking about selling their business. And the main question they wanted me to ask you, and we're going to get to that in a minute, because I think it's probably a very important question. But before we do that, tell people about Great Lakes Business Advisors.
Yeah, so I've been first of all, I was a business owner. I owned restaurants for 18 years, and I own commercial real estate and also short-term rentals. So I've been an entrepreneur for my entire career, for the most part, except for I had a couple real jobs, which was early in my career. And since then, I've been a business advisor, helping business owners sell their businesses for almost 10 years. In July will be the 10-year mark. I've been doing this. So I've helped many business owners sell, and I've learned a lot. And the longer you do it, the better you get. And and that's what I love about what I've been doing, is just I continue to educate and learn and get even better at what I do.
Well, I got to tell you, I think I shared with you our last show that I was a business owner. Well, I still am, but I had a business about 20 years ago that I tried to sell myself. And Brad, I know this you'll recognize this. It was the dumbest move I ever made. And just a few things is my phones were ringing off the wall. My employees would answer. It's like, why is someone calling about you selling your business? And then the people, I call them tire kickers. And a friend of mine said, why don't you get a business broker? And we're going to talk about that today. What is a business broker? And I got to tell you, the day I decided to do that, it changed my entire life. And I just have so much respect for what you do, Brad.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of business owners think they can do it, but what's the problem is if you're running your business and then you're trying to focus on selling your business, you take your eye off the ball of what you're doing, and then you're in the weeds
Yes.
on something else over here. In the meantime, your business could be going the wrong direction because of the lack of attention that you're giving it because you're trying to sell it. Whereas when I come in, I tell business owners, keep doing what you do. Like I want you to continue. Don't change a thing. If you got to hire people, hire people. You got to fire people, fire. If you're advertising, don't stop. Keep doing everything you're doing, and let me do all the work behind the scenes. That way, when we have the right buyer, I only bring the owner in once I've done all the vetting, make sure they have the experience to run a business, they have the cash to buy the business. We've have verified the funds they have. I've interviewed them, and then we bring the business owner and the buyer together, and then we go through the process. And obviously there's a lot of steps between there where I do a lot of due diligence on the front end to make sure the business is sellable, make sure we have at a price that it can be bank financed, and we do make sure if you don't have standard operating procedures, we don't have things in place, we have consultants we bring in to help you prepare that business for sale, because if it's very owner centric, it's very tough to sell. So we've got to do some things to decentralize the owner. So that's why we like to know about it 2 or 3 years in advance if we can. If we got to fix things, we've got time to fix it. Just because we're in contact now doesn't mean you're selling now. We got to make sure if you're doing some things we need to fix, let's fix them while you still want to run the business. Because once I call it the give a shit meter drops, then you don't want to fix things. You just want to sell. Then you're selling for a low value. So we got to do some things on the front end to get that business ready to sell and help you understand what that looks like.
I tell you what, we got the greatest letter. Someone who's been listening to your show the last several months. He said, I understand you were in the restaurant business. I am thinking about buying a business. I see a lot of restaurants going under. Would you see that me starting a new restaurant in a location that went out of business under a different format, is that a good idea or a bad idea?
It really depends on why it went out of business. One thing I can tell you, I've started at 2 restaurants from the ground up. And I really don't recommend it because it's the hardest thing in the world to build that customer base. Like we went out and handed out food in local areas, and the food's got to be phenomenal to go out and hand out food for
Yes.
free and hope that people will go, hey, I want to order that food. And then get that customer, a lunch business, a dinner business, your delivery business, if you do catering. And so there's a lot to that. I always tell business owners, why would you go start from scratch when you can buy a business that's already got the people in place? It's got a customer base in place. It's got systems in place. It's got recipes in place. If you want to come in and change some of that stuff, that's great. But why not? You can buy restaurants at a really good price and then tweak it to what you want to do over time. But if it's successful the way it is, leave it the way it is. And then you can always make changes down the road. Like the guy that bought my business, he says, well, I'm going to change the concept. And then he realized it's been open for 18 years, very successful. Why would you change it? Like
Right.
It's printing money the way it is. Don't go change what you bought. So I always tell business owners. So I would recommend not, because it failed maybe because of operations. It could have failed because of location. Location is key. You don't know why it failed. And so I would be cautious in doing that. I think you're better off looking at existing restaurants and seeing what's out there, because there's a lot of good restaurants and that owners want to sell. We just gotta find the right buyer for them.
You talk about location, and when I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there was a busy street. There was a restaurant kind of the size of a Denny's. And Brad, I swear to you, there must have been 12 to 15 restaurants that went into that location, and none of them survived. See,
There are locations like that.
Yeah, that's one of the things you do, because you do so much due diligence for your client.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have a business you're looking at, reach out to me and I'll look at the financials. I can tell you in 15, 20 minutes whether I would pursue it if I were you or not. It's not it I've been doing it for so long. It doesn't take me long, and I'll do it. I won't charge you for it. Will I go out and help you look for a business? Not really. I don't really look for buyers, but what I do is I do not mind helping people when they call me up because I see so many people have bought businesses, and the owners came to me and said, "You want to buy my business?" And they work for the company or they know the owner and they think it's such a privilege. Well, you're probably paying more than you should. So bring an expert in, talk to your accountant, understand those financials before you make that purchase. Because a restaurant is going to sell for a 2 or 3 multiple of SDE. And if you're paying a 5, you got a problem. And even if it's a big restaurant, I just sold a large one that had 700,000 in seller discretionary earnings, only sold for 1.5 million. People think, well, it's making money. I mean, that's what bottom line the owner was making. The problem is restaurants are one of the toughest businesses to run because you're in charge of its procurement, you're in charge of production, you're in charge of customer service, you're hiring, you're firing, you're cleaning up the mess when they leave. I mean, there's all that involved in that day-to-day operation. And so there's a lot to run a restaurant. Once you've run a restaurant, you can run almost any other business, I think, because I think it's one of the toughest businesses out there after doing it for as long as I have.
Oh my. I've never shared this with you. We do a restaurant show, and I've been doing it for 16 years. First of all, the markup is not that much in the restaurant business. The hours are long and hard. And you're right, it is the toughest business. You have got to really love being in that business.
You do. You're looking at somewhere between a 5 and 20% is a high bottom line profit. You're talking 5 to 15 is probably the margin in it. If you're at 15, you're doing really well. 20 is fantastic. I never got to 20. I got to 15. But I tell you what, even at 15, that's not a big number. And sure, there's some stuff hidden in the financials and you're eating the food and you're doing some other things. But in the grand scheme of things, but it's a springboard to get you the next thing. Like I was able to buy real estate. I was able to buy short-term rentals. I got into business brokerage. So businesses get into them, get going, and it gives you the working capital to buy other things. That's what it starts. It starts the entrepreneurial journey. And if that's what you know is restaurants, start in it, make the money, learn how to make money in the restaurant business, and then you can make money in about any business, in my opinion.
Yeah, really. Brad, I got to tell you, I think one of the hardest things on what you do, because I went through this, when a person starts their business, it becomes their baby. And then you think the value is a lot more. You actually go out and you evaluate the business, what it's worth. And when they told me what the business was really worth, God, it hurt my feelings so much, but they were absolutely right.
Yeah, and I tell people the baby's ugly quite often, and I don't enjoy saying that, but it's the truth. What I don't want to do is tell you your business is worth a number that I can't get to in selling your business. And so I'm quite honest with people, and I lose listings. I only take 1 in 10 businesses I talk to because if the business isn't sellable or the owner says, "Hey, I need 3 million to retire," and the business is worth 1.5 million. Well, it's just like if you have a car that's a Kelley Blue Book is 50,000 on it and you want 70, who's going to buy it? It's the same situation. Buyers are smart. They're not going to buy a bit, overpay for a business. People think, oh, it's potential. If I could sell potential, Steve, I would be retired 5 years ago. Potential doesn't sell. What have you done for me lately is what sells. Last 3 years financials tell the story.
Yeah, exactly. Brad, you do so much work before you've even realized a dime. It is amazing the amount of work that you do for your client. And I got to tell you, hats off, but your area of business as a business broker is so important. And one of the things I hope I can get across to people that don't try to do this yourself. I am telling you, you will have so much heartache when you get a great business broker like Brad Ruth with Great Lakes Business Advisors. I'm telling you, it will make your life so much easier. I don't want to make this sound like a commercial. We're here to educate you. Like, we just got a text in from Jack in Cincinnati. He wants to know, what are your feelings on restaurant franchises?
Boy, the problem with with franchises in general, I'm not down on them. I sell them. I owned one myself. I worked for ServiceMaster and sold franchises. The problem with franchises, and so if you buy a concept and it's turnkey, it's great, but it's still starting out from scratch. You got to build a customer base. You may have a bigger following if it's a popular franchise. The problem is, let's say their royalty is 4%. Okay. Well, it's only 4%. It's not 4% of profit. It's 4% of sales. Well, when your margins are between 5 and 15 and you're giving up 4% in a royalty, that's 30-40% of profit. So is it going to generate that much profit to make up for the difference in that? And that's where you just have to understand how that works, because when you first get, and the cool thing about franchises is once you start paying and once you're in, you're not getting out. Only way you get out is selling. You can't change the name of your business in that location and be a different concept and continue doing serving the same product. You're locked in. So I'm not opposed to franchises, and for some people it's a great fit who've never been in the business before and don't understand. It's a great baby step into business ownership. But a lot of times you're buying a job, and your franchise is making probably about almost as much as you are when it's all said and done. I mean, you're making more, but I'm just saying that they're taking a big portion of of the profit of your business. And so I'm not opposed to them, but you just got to understand that when you do
it. Mark just wrote us, I'm so glad there's a show like this. I've looked through YouTube, and I've never seen a show that talks about selling a business. What area of business do you specialize in?
So there's a few areas of specialization. I've sold tons of different businesses. I've kind of narrowed it down to the construction trades, HVAC, plumbing, electricians, and manufacturing distribution. And I still do restaurants because I've owned them, understand them, know how to sell them. They're difficult to sell. That's why I still do a lot of them, because I turn down so many of them because I call them hobbies. They're not making money. So they're a hobby. They're not really a business. And so I don't sell those. So those are the areas I concentrate in. Because those are the areas that I know best. And I'm a member of PHCC, which is a plumbing association, ACCO, which is a HVAC association. I also do landscapers. I'm a member of the Landscape Association, Ohio Landscape Association. And then I'm a member of the National Tooling and Machining Association. So I'm involved in a lot of these different associations, and I'm the only broker in those. And I usually speak at it's many of their meetings at least once a year at all of them, just to talk about it. Business enterprise value, exit planning, and then, selling of your business.
Brad, I got to tell you, your show goes by so fast. I just looked at the clock. First, let's tell people how they can reach you.
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. You can go to my website which is scrolling across the screen down there. I'm on Facebook. And you can call me on my cell phone. Just call me directly or text me at the number at the bottom of the screen there. I'm available. If I'm not available, then I'll get back to you. I'm busy, but I'm pretty responsive.
So for those who are listening on radio, on iHeart right now, or W4CY, what is your website? Okay. What is your website?
Is glbainc.com, or you can reach me on my cell, 330-524-8205. And my last name is Ruth, just like Babe Ruth, which, I just found out from my brother about 3 years ago, is that he did a genealogy thing when he was in high school and found out we're related to Babe Ruth, and we just found that out about.
No way.
And I go, I'm in sales. Like, why wouldn't you tell me that like 30 years ago? But last name is Ruth. I should have played baseball, but I didn't. So
Hey, we're glad you are where you are. Brad's with us every month. And if you missed part of the show, you can go to iHeart, or you can go to Spotify, or you can go to YouTube. Brad, I am so glad we have you. We'll see you next month. Thank you so much.
All right, Steve. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, that's Brad Ruth. Hey, if you want to sell your business, he is the man to call. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.